Oftentimes, I get asked from several people in and around Southern California, Andrew, how do I get started in the business? To what I ask back, well, which business did you have in mind? Simply entertainment is what their response generally is. Well, unfortunately, simply is a difficult word to break down for the industry, the entertainment industry. Perhaps my guest tonight can shed some light on some behind-the-scenes role in the entertainment industry. My guest tonight has had quite a range of careers in his lifetime, everything from being a former 82nd Airborne Trooper to an officer in the Department of Corrections. His start in Hollywood, however, started when he answered an ad in the LA Times for a, no, not audition, but a busy TV executive needing a limo chauffeur, rounding out as a sound editor for big-time television like The Sopranos and One Tree Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we cover Raymond Spiess right here on Desert Empire Vibe. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host for Desert Empire Vibe, Andrew Caravella. Now, I know that we have on the flashy intro, it shows interviews and comedy and entertainment and live music. Well, we got 3 of those tonight. I'm just going to leave it like that so you can wonder all night which one we're missing. Raymond Spiess, sound editor. Is that where we are in life right now?
No, that's where I've been.
Where have you been? Okay. Where are we now?
Where are we now? It's kind of like I took a hiatus from Warner Brothers. I worked my way up to supervising sound editor, and I wanted to take time off to focus more on producing and directing.
Oh, you're on an excursion right now.
Yes, it's a long excursion.
So you've done a lot. There in the intro, is it Army Airborne? Is that what that is?
Yes,
Airborne Trooper.
Yeah.
You were, I guess, police officer, Department of Corrections, right?
Well, Department of Corrections
officer.
We were still considered peace officers, but yeah, we worked inside the prisons.
Very cool. Limo chauffeur?
Yeah, well, got injured on the job, and I was at home and grabbed a paper and saw a little ad said busy TV executive needs a chauffeur, and I went, hey, that can't be too bad of a job.
I could drive the limo, wear a black suit.
Yeah.
People probably thought you were a government worker, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, I want to focus though on the industry once you became a sound editor. Just looking at the list here, Sopranos, Sundance, One Tree Hill, those are some awesome credits. Let's start with Sopranos, because that came before the One Tree Hill, right?
Well, Sopranos came later on because when I first started in the industry, I worked for a non-union house, for Roger Corman on his films. So I worked on those films to kind of, learn the trade. And once I learned the trade, and then I joined the union, and my first studio I worked for was Sony Pictures, where I was doing Melrose Place, Baywatch, Party of Five.
Wait, the original Baywatch with the Hoff?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
That's so cool. Did you guys ever make fun of, was it like a thing on the set back then, the whole slow motion thing? Was that like a joke back then, or was that later on?
No, not really. I mean, when you're in the sound room, what you kind of just keep everything to yourself, but you laugh a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. So Sopranos, how did that happen then?
Well, after I got done with Sony Pictures, I was given the opportunity. I got a call from Bill Angarola, and he had taken over Tade Studios, and that was on the west side over in Santa Monica. And they were opening up studios on that side of town for the producers who all lived in Malibu. So that's where Sopranos came along. I started working on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I did those shows, Angel, and then a lot of TV movie of the weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then Sopranos came on board, and I was asked to do the pilot. And when I first saw the pilot, I was like, I don't know, if this is gonna fly. A guy's looking at ducks in his pool, and and it ended up being a hit show. So that's how I got started supervising the Sopranos.
That's really cool. So when you go work for the big studios, you have to join whatever the union is for that department?
Yeah, the union, Local 700, is for the Sound Editors Guild, and that's the union I was a member of. That covers your motion picture sound editors, your sound editors, your picture editors,
And just like other like unions, like SEIU, you guys have contract negotiations, wages, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What would be an average day? Like 12 hours for you on a set?
Usually 12 hours, when we come and we work,
Were you ever there for like production, or was everything you did in post?
Most of my stuff was in post, but I would take the time to call production because being a sound supervisor, it was important to me to make sure that I was in contact with the production sound mixer on set. So I needed to know what he was shooting, what was going on there on the set. So when it came back to me, it all seemed to flow.
Okay, so you did One Tree Hill also.
Yes.
Were you there for the whole series?
I started it from the pilot until the end of the 9th year. 9 years of One Tree Hill with Mark Schwann.
So for all the girls out there, have you ever met Chad Michael Murray?
Oh, yeah.
What is he like?
Well, Chad was the star of the show.
What does that mean when you say star? Like star of the show?
Well, I'll put it to you this way.
This is good stuff.
Chad had to come as part of the package for the show. When Mark Schwann wrote the pilot for One Tree Hill, it was originally a feature film. And then he was approached to make it into a TV series. And when he brought it to Warner Brothers, they said, well, Chad Michael Murray has to be attached. You can pick whoever else you want. So that's basically, he came as a package deal.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. First film was at Sundance. That was after One Tree Hill for you, right? You made a film.
No, actually that was before. Okay, because Sopranos was back in 2000. So in 1999, while I was doing The Sopranos, I decided to shoot my first short film.
Okay.
And I knew absolutely nothing about shooting movies.
So you didn't go to school to learn how to filmmake or anything?
In fact, I started as a limo driver, and I would drive the producer to different sets, and I would say, well, what's this, and instead of sitting in the car, I'd get out and I'd hold cue cards, or I do whatever I could to learn the production of it. Okay. And eventually worked up my way from there, So when I was working on The Sopranos, I decided to shoot my first short film, and it was called Dreamer. And I got the idea from, I'm sure you're familiar with LA and how nice the traffic is there.
The best.
Going over the 405 freeway, and I was stuck in the freeway.
Legendary.
Yes.
Yes.
So I always wondered what it would be like if a Native American was able to see where we were today, not even 100 years later. So that's what the premise of the film was about. So, so I talked to David Chase about making the film and got some advice, went out, made the film. And after I got the film done, people go, are you going to submit to festivals? And I'm like, what's a festival? So I submitted to my festival. The first one was Sundance.
You went right to the top.
Right to the top, Sundance.
What happened?
Well, I got accepted, and I went there for the 10 days, and I had a blast, and got to sit with Robert Redford for breakfast.
Did you understand at that point how much of a deal, that big of a deal that was?
Absolutely not. And that's one thing that I really would like to emphasize to any filmmakers who are going to Sundance. Take advantage of that, because when I came back, I didn't do all the parties I should have done. I didn't network. Networking is so important in this industry, because when I was there, I wasn't about networking, going to parties. Okay, so when I came back, I was on that, Sundance wave.
Yeah, the high.
The high. And I kind of like came back to work back on The Sopranos, and I kind of like just didn't take advantage of that success.
So speaking of success, Tom Hanks, Sally Fields, this must have been in the 90s, I'm assuming, because of the Apollo thing? No?
No, that was, yeah, that's right. It was in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
I followed him.
Yes.
I IMDb'd him.
Yes.
From Earth to the Moon.
From the Earth to the Moon series.
That was something Tom Hanks made. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. It was a series that Tom Hanks produced and executive produced, and it was about the Apollo trips to the moon and back, and it kind of focused a lot on the wives, too, which was a part that has always been left out of the scenario, so to speak. And Sally Field came on board. Tom let her direct an episode. And it was really, I grew up watching The Flying Nun. And so here I am sitting right next to Sally Fields.
The Flying Nun.
The Flying Nun. And, and she's knitting while we're watching.
Knitting?
She's knitting while we're, doing her film on the sound stage. We're mixing it. And it was all new to her, and there were some areas of that we really were able to clean up some of the sound for her that she was very grateful for. But yeah, it was cool. Nice working with her.
We have time for one more story before we take our commercial break. You mentioned Robert Redford over in the green room. Tell me that fun story that you guys had.
Well, Robert Redford, when we were on the west side at Taddeo Studios, they were mixing the Horse Whisperer there, and Obviously, you know, I got up to use the restroom and take a break. He was in one studio and I was in another another studio, and our mixing stage. So anyways, I walk into the bathroom and I go to the urinal, and I'm standing there, and there's this gruffy looking guy with a beard and hair and t-shirt and jeans, and I kind of look, and it's Robert Redford. And I just kind of say, you know, what do you say when you're standing at a urinal? Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going in the urinal? Okay.
And, you know, the mix going good? Yeah, it's going good. Okay. All right. We do our business, take off. And then I make my film, go to Sundance. And then I get to Sundance. And Robert Redford has a breakfast with all the directors.
Oh, wow.
And while I was there, I walked up and I said, hey, do you remember me?
And he said?
And the urinal? Tadio Studios? Yes.
And everyone was like, what?
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting how you run into these people and you meet up later on. I mean, who would have thought later on I'd be at Sundance, you know, with Robert Redford.
I've had moments like that where actor friends who will remain nameless, and I meet them at one location in LA, like the other side of Santa Monica, and then over in the Valley, I'll run into them literally a week later. I'm walking into a restaurant as they're leaving, and it's like, 10 million people live here, and I have to run into you at this time of day. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Small town.
Yeah.
Big world, small town.
Big world, small town, but network.
Very network. Okay, so when we come back from our commercial break, we're going to talk about why you are a resident here of the Victor Valley nowadays.
Okay.
We're going to talk about filmmaking in general, you know, more in depth here in the high desert. We're also right here before we go to break, we're going to show a clip from a short film you just recently wrapped on called Redemption.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about that. And
that was done with the high desert
filmmakers here in the high desert.
Yes.
Very good. So we got a lot with Raymond Spiess. When we come back from our commercial break, I got to pay some bills. That's what we do here. And yeah, stick around. This guy has been around. How long have you been doing filmmaking now? In general, the whole
well,
thing.
in general, I started in 95.
Long time, longer than I've been alive. So we're going to just keep it right there. Hey, we'll be right back. Andrew Caravello with Raymond Spiess here in the hot seat on Desert Empire Vibe. Don't go away, and we will be right back.
What's this? Don't nobody know I'm here. Think I'm secure enough now? I'm getting ready to go back to Texas to be executed. Get off of me.
Take a seat.
And that's what got you here, right?
Knock it off, Washington!
I don't give a damn.
What the hell is it, boy? You're wasting your time. Lopez, get me out of here.
The results may change your mind.
Welcome back to Desert Empire Vibe. I'm your host, Andrew Caravello, with Raymond Spiess in the hot seat. We were playing Hangman. I got it after 3 letters.
Yep, that's right.
I didn't have any arms.
You almost were done.
I almost hung myself.
Yeah, and I gave him an easy word too.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. So, Raymond, why are you living here in the Victor Valley? Why?
Well, it's just an area that we decided to move up to. I was living in LA, and then from LA I moved to Rancho Cucamonga.
Oh, see, that's a good area. Not that the Victor Valley is not a good area,
Yes.
but for all you locals, you know what I mean.
Then we thought about buying a house, and then, said, well, where can we get a house that's not going to kill us? And so we came up to the high desert. And
Well, some would disagree with that.
yeah, well, so we're here.
Very good.
Yeah.
Do you like the weather?
No.
Do you like the sunsets?
Sunsets are cool.
Yeah.
The wind, you know, I mean, I this is my first year up here, and I was like, does the wind ever stop?
Have you ever filmed anything up here? You know, living in LA, did you ever come up to this area?
Never.
Never? Missing out on all the dirt we got.
Yeah.
Okay, so filmmaking in the high desert, what's that like?
Well, filmmaking in the high desert, when I came up here, what I wanted to do was, you know, I mean, I love the art of filmmaking. I love everything about it. You know, being in the entertainment business, obviously you know that too.
Yeah.
If it's in your blood, you want to keep going at it. Even though you might retire from one part of it, you still want to continue to kind of do that and then also help others. So my main goal for coming up here was to, hey, I could form like a little group, give some classes, which I did, with the help of Wesley over at the Holiday Inn on Palmdale. And he was gracious enough to give us a room to where we could start our first class, and one class led to another class to another, and then we got to about 4 classes.
I saw pictures. You had quite a packed room there.
Yes, on the last class on cinematography, I bring professionals out from Los Angeles, working professionals.
So you had a panel.
Kind of like each person that came out. Well, each person that came out it wasn't really a panel. It was like, the cinematographer came by himself with his wife. Then I had a screenwriter, a professor from USC come out for screenwriting, and then a producer and an actor, and so we kind of broke it up. And then it came to a point where it's like, okay, enough sitting here talking. Let's do something.
Very good. Speaking of which, right before we went to break, we gave everyone a little treat, a little sneak peek at your short film that you shot with a lot of local people that do film here in the Victor Valley.
Yeah.
Redemption. I noticed it was like a jail scene.
Yes.
Was that kind of reminiscent? Were you pulling from experience as a corrections officer? What was the whole thing there that we just watched before commercial break?
No, actually, it's just me and a buddy were at my house one day breaking down a script, and then all of a sudden this idea popped into his head about doing a film about an inmate who gets kind of unexpected news right before his execution. I don't want to give the story away, but the trailer will...
So he dies, I mean, execution.
Well, obviously, he's already scheduled for execution.
He's going to die, people.
But before the execution, he gets, some news that's pretty unexpected for him.
Okay.
And yes, that whole film was shot up here in the high desert using predominantly all high desert filmmakers. We had a lot of people on set who had never had any experience at all. We had people who had some experience, and we had people who had been to film schools and, that are living up here in the high desert and want to be part of the group. So
we can't show the whole thing because, one, it's too long, and two, you have it ready for film festivals. You're submitting this right now as we speak.
So I figured, the film's done, and we're going to submit it to a few film festivals. Dreamer, my last film, when I went to Sundance, went to about 45 film festivals, and so I know everything about film festivals, how they work, how those programmers work, and I know that ideally they like to have films in there that are anywhere from 10 to 12, maybe 14 minutes max, because that way they can program more in the short program. If you have a short film that's 25 minutes long, it's going to be tough, because then they could program maybe 2 or 3 short films.
How long is your actual short film, Redemption?
This short film is about 10 minutes.
And then how long did it take you, not including post-production, I guess the production aspect of it, how long did it take you to film?
Well, I mean, we shot it in one day, then we came back for a pickup shot, so 2 days.
What does that mean, pickup shots?
Well, we came back because after I looked at the dailies, I realized that we needed to get some more coverage. So we came back and we did another shoot where I brought in all the actors again, except the crew. We went from like around 35 people down to 5. So on the second time around, we shot with 5 people, and those 5 people I brought in the second time around were all experienced guys, and we did get probably 4 times the coverage because we were working fast. And when you got setups, you want to get as many as you can.
Is it hard? Is it challenging to make films in the high desert?
I don't think it's challenging. I think that no matter where you live, you can make a film. It's just being, organized and planned and making sure everything's planned out. So, and that's the thing David Chase told me when I was making my film. He just said, be prepared. Plan everything, be prepared, and surround yourself with people who are professionals and that know what they're doing, and they'll make you shine.
If it's to grow in the desert, because I mean, for Pete's sake, we're like 90 minutes outside of Hollywood, right? If it's to grow in this area, which is starting to become a very big area with a lot of people, how do we make that happen? Like, what does it take to have like a Hollywood here in the high desert, like you see in like North Carolina and Louisiana and New Mexico and is it Vancouver? Vancouver.
Well, I think what you got to do first of all is you got to get the city behind you, okay? Because you got to have the city to give you some kind of incentives to make something like this that's going to draw LA out to you here. And it's kind of like, if you go fishing without bait, you're not going to catch anything. So you got to have something here in this high desert area that's going to lure those filmmakers here. Now, obviously in LA, it costs a lot of money to rent a stage. Like let's say you want a sound stage of a police station or a hospital set. If you were to build something like up here that had a hospital set, a police station, jail, anything of this, that filmmakers can come and get it at a very discounted rate, you're going to draw those people out here, because if you're shooting for 2 weeks on a police set, okay, on a sound stage, okay, and let's say LA is going to cost you $1,200 a day, but let's say you can build it up here and you can charge $450, $500 a day, they're all going to be coming over here like, swarms of bees, but you got to first have those logistics in place before anything gets started. And that was one of my goals, is to try to set up, get under the umbrella with a nonprofit agency, and maybe get some grants or something like that to find a empty building, like maybe the old Walmart building that's over there on, I think it's Bear Valley past Home Depot. Used to be a Walmart back there.
Oh yeah, the Walmarts.
Yeah.
That used to be a 24-hour Walmart.
Of course I'm talking big because that's a huge building, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to set that up with sound stages, offices, editing bays, even bunks, kitchen area that is like a one-stop shop that all these filmmakers can come to and shoot their film. And then they have a lot of the people up here in the high desert who are also interested in being part of a crew that they can also hire locally. So
What do you do to make it a real living thing? Like how do you make a living out of like reality being in the industry? Not like an actor or like a recording artist or something, but like as someone behind the scenes, day in, day out, you show up, you clock in, you clock out, whatever that means. And you're just making movies and making TV shows. Like, how do you make that a real living thing?
Well, it's really hard. That's a tough question.
I know, that's why I saved it for the end.
Yeah, it's a tough question, because in this industry, when you first start out, okay, when I first got into this business, I was working a regular day job. I went to work at night for free for probably 3 months.
Okay, wait a second. You worked for free.
For free. In this industry, if you want to get started and you want to learn something in this business, don't be surprised if you're going to work for free. In fact, you're going to need to work for free, because you got to build up your resume. And the only way you're going to get credits is you're going to work for free, so you can go on IMDb and start building up those credits. Once you establish yourself and made a lot of connections and you do a good job, then they're going to call you back. Now you can start getting paid.
So let me ask you, because it's competitive.
Yes.
Is there a lot of people, competitive-wise, that will work for free as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's occasions where I've had people who come to me, producers that are, say maybe it's their first venture into directing, and they need a producer on board, and they'll come to me and say, hey, Ray, I really need help. And, it's kind of like, I don't mind giving back and helping out. So I'll come on board and I'll work for free and I'll help out, Obviously I'll get a credit, for producing. And there's certain levels of how much I'll do for the free. But if it's a picture or a project that you feel passionate about and you have a good relationship with the people, then you really don't mind working for free, especially if you love doing what you're doing.
Is there any other line of work that whole free thing you could think applies to?
Not really, because a doctor's not going to work for free.
Yeah,
okay,
you get that.
An architect ain't going to work for free. So no, it's interesting about this industry only. Even with actors, actors will, for them to get started, they'll do a lot of movies, okay, and not get paid because they need to build their reels. And the same thing when you work in, I don't care what trade it is, a DP, cinematographer, grip, electric, you name it. All those positions at one time or another will start as a PA, and they start as a PA so they can find out, they can see the set and they'll say, oh, I like that guy's job, or I like that guy's job. And they might focus on that and work towards that.
Finally, is there a favorite aspect of sound editing or being behind the scenes that you love about the industry? Is there one thing that you like more than anything else when it comes to it?
My favorite part about the whole process from script to screen is sitting there in the audience when I was at Sundance and I was watching my film for the first time with a packed room, and you see that film come up on that screen and you watch that audience reaction.
Okay, let me ask you now, because we get emotional here on the show.
Yes.
Little tear? Did you cry a little when that happened?
I was scared as hell. I sat in the back of the theater, so in case they started booing, I could run out.
Really?
Yes.
So you were nervous. Yeah.
Very
Sweaty
nervous.
armpits. Did you do that?
Yeah.
The whole.
Oh man, I think I was on a couple Xanax.
You get one of the aisle seats just in case you had to make a
Yep.
quick dash.
I was there. Me and my executive producer were sitting there, and we were ready to make a quick getaway in case it didn't fly.
That's hilarious. So,
Yeah.
hey, Raymond, I just want to say
All
thank
right.
you one more time
And
for
thanks for
joining
having
us.
me on the show.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is I'm giving back in hopes that I get a role in the future.
Yes.
So I can stop doing these talk shows. That's the only reason I do this. I can't get acting.
No,
gigs.
you're great at what you do. So.
Hey, I'm Andrew Carabella for Desert Empire Vibe. Thank you once again for joining us for this episode, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks again, and please have a good night. Take care.